Okay. So after the show's ending, what kind of mood do you hope to leave your audience in? It sounds kind of untypical, but the guys are dead. So, is it a good mood when? You know?
It is very strangely bittersweet, but there's two ways to look at it that I see. These people, these four guys, obviously came back to Earth for a reason, and that reason is very plain and simple in their own minds, which is like, he grows in his solo, and you grow throughout yourself, and we each grow. We each have our own journey. But at the same time, we're bringing back an era that hasn't existed for our audience in 49 years. We're bringing back music and behavior and style and heart and warmth that hasn't been on this planet in a very, very long time. And we're doing so as truthfully and, as truthfully as we can be. So at the end of the show, I feel I want the audience to say, wow, I'm happy that they all grew, but I'm also happy that I had a sort of blast from a past that I was never a part of. Realizing that just like simple truths on stage can be beautiful and fun and enjoyable.
I think that in terms of their death and what that means to the audience, I think it's kind of like if you did Forever Plaid the movie, and the first half of it was them in life, and then they died, and then came back and did the show. I think that creates a much deeper sadness for them because you saw them in life and you know what it could have been like for them if they had gone on in life. But the show kind of establishes right off the bat that they're these ghosts, and we kind of play fun at it a little bit, to kind of lighten up the mood because it could be a lot drearier than it actually is in the show. And so I think that because of that, and it's so established, that at the end of the show, it's more of a happy moment that these guys got to celebrate this show, this gig that they never got to do, and they finished it, and it was good. And they got the laughs, and they grew as people, and they did all those things. And now that it's kind of like whenever there's a ghost in a movie or a play or something, and it's like they have unfinished business. And it's kind of like once they finished it and they get to move on, you're happy for them because now they can really move on. I think that's what we're shooting for. To try and bring.
I agree that the convention of our death at the beginning really is just a vehicle for the ability to time travel. Almost, I mean, this show could. It really is just a chance for why could people from the 50s be here now in 2013? And I think that idea of us being in some sort of in-between worlds in the meantime is truly a convention at first, but then like what Matt was talking about at the end, it really does set up so much more weight and depth to the four of us in that when we're singing for the last time and Frankie has a big monologue to spur us all into the last number, that you're kind of hit with this moment, especially, I think, for the four of us on stage, that it's that moment of, for what we love is music, and this is the last time. So it's that moment, what I would hope our audience members would think about is, for anything that you love, it's kind of that last moment to be great. And so we hope that we leave that last moment as great, that everyone can celebrate it.
Yeah. I believe it's a show about passion, and not passion to be famous, not passion to be celebrated, but passion about the music and this wholesome, honest passion that these four guys get to do this one time, which I think the whole death just heightens the idea of this is a special moment in time, in space, and it took them so long to get there. It's been 49 years or something to come here to do this one thing that they've been wanting every single day that has existed for them.
Are you guys the only four actors on the stage, or is it you four in the pit, or?
It's the four of us as the Plaids. Then we also have our accompanist and a bass player. Tom Sterling. And then there is a feature by our stage manager, who comes on for a brief moment.
Comes on for a second. But
So-
we're the only
But
four
really,
actors.
we're the four.
Yeah, and there's a fifth member of the Plaids.
Kind of, yeah. Some audience participation gets them
there's
in the
some
action.
audience. There's definitely some audience participation. We get to go out in the aisles and really have some fun towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
One thing that's cool about this, as socially inept as these four individuals have to be, they created an amazing show that pretty much does everything you would want from any concert or live performance that you could ever go to. They really hit you from every side, and laughs and not so much crying, but emotion. And the audience participation is just like the cherry on top, where it's like, we're not only here to, sing and be happy, but also to get you happy and to get you moving and, just enjoy life, be happy.
2 more questions. Next one is after this show. Well, 3 more questions. I thought my one from earlier. You guys have gone from a big show, Shrek, to this small 4-person show, more or less. What's it like at the end of the season with just 4 compared to the start of the season?
Funny enough, this might be the biggest show for each of us. Since it's a smaller cast and we never leave the stage, all 4 of us are singing the entirety of the show. All 4 of us are, we're using every bit of our energy to perform for an hour and a half, an hour and 45. So that to me makes it the biggest show of the season for sure. Although Shrek was, and from the audience's point of view, bigger, for us as actors, it's definitely the most challenging piece.
What really feels like has changed is more of the atmosphere here, just in the building in general. You come into rehearsal in the morning, and as opposed to seeing 25 tired performers, we just see the 4 of us kind of rolling in all at the same time, and we're just like, all right, let's do it. But there's something that the rehearsals themselves, even though it's near the end, and especially for these 3 guys who are all in the nerd, I kind of lucked out and dodged that bullet. But just in terms of tiredness, like I got to sleep.
Yeah.
But the good thing for these guys, and I'm not trying to speak for them, but for me, coming in, the actual mood of working hasn't seemed as like crazy pressure for like these numbers to be perfect right away as some of the other. Like I remember when we came in for Shrek, like I felt the need to be like off book as soon as possible, make sure everything was great for what I could do, because I was 1 out of 25 people. But when it's the 4 of us, it really was, we were a lot more okay with everybody getting there together, in a sense. I guess I felt that, at least, that it was more of a collaborative process in the end.
Yeah, I feel whenever it's a smaller cast, and especially even the difference between a 8 or 7-person cast at the Nerd to 4, you're getting through the show together and not individually being like, I gotta be on it. And especially with the show, as we are a group, and the show in context, we are a singing group, and we are related, and we are best friends. We also, as actors, band together to put this show in. Even extra things. We get together outside of rehearsals and meet up and talk about what do we want to do. Let's specify these things. Let's get together and read these things that we don't have to do, but it's a way of banding together. And I know for me specifically, Shrek was a very individual process. I needed to be on my game 100% and only worry about me for a lot of things. Where this is, you are 100% a Plaid. I am not Sparky, I am a Plaid member.
The show's success isn't really dependent on our own personal, my 100% and his 100% and his, but like all of us collaborating to get to our 100%. So yes, if one of us wasn't working, we'd all be like weighed down, but we can't all just be on our own paths. Unlike a show like Shrek, where Shrek doesn't come in contact with the majority of the ensemble, and so that sort of collaboration on stage isn't necessary per se because they don't exchange any sort of relationship. But we're all each other. We're all we have.
I think it's one of those things where in the show, there's so many transitions and stuff. It's easy to get lost. It's easy to forget something, and it's one of those things where it's like if it's my solo number, but he's lost, my solo can't happen,
Yeah.
even if it is my solo. And so it's like we are always constantly checking in with each other and there for each other to cover each other if someone gets lost, because it can't exist if it doesn't. Whereas, if you're Shrek or Robbie Hart or something and you're going out for a solo number, it's just you, and that's all you need. And so that's kind of the collaboration of, like, we're in it together and constantly checking in with each other and having each other's back on stage.
Yeah, because solo doesn't mean
Solo doesn't mean solo.
It means solo
With
backup singers.
Backup singers, and they've
Every
got to
number.
they've got to hand you your props. They've got to give you the chord that you hit your notes in. So it's just huge.
There's really no I in team in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 2 more questions. So after this show, what are each of you going on to do? Back to school, or what's your game plan?
Yeah, I'm returning for my senior year at the University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music, where I'm getting a BFA in musical theater, and I'm very excited about that. I graduate in 2014 and showcase, and then off to wherever will take me.
I'm going back to my junior year at the University of Michigan, where I am getting a BFA in musical theater. So I've got another year of school, and then another summer, and then another year of school, but I'm excited for school and to get back to learning and progressing.
I'm also a junior, but I go to Penn State University for musical theater, BFA. And I guess I'm lucky that we audition in the spring, so I know that my next show I'll be in Guys and Dolls in the fall, so I'm excited to get right back to school and keep working on another show.
And I'll be going to New York, TGI Fridays, being a waiter. No, I just want to say acronym since everyone else had an acronym. I'm just going to New York and doing that thing.
Well, you just graduated.
Yeah, I just graduated. I just got showcased, so I have an agent lined up, and I'm going to New York and doing the audition circuit and hopefully get work.
Cool. And the last question is, the guys in your show do one last show before they go into heaven. What's one thing you'd like to do in your lifetime before you die? Not to be morbid about it, but
Me first.
You're the oldest.
any show, any whatever, directing.
Yeah, okay, if we're doing that, I would love the opportunity to be Burrs in either of the Wild Parties, which is a musical based on a poem, which is my favorite poem, which I actually knew before the musical.
Career-wise, my kind of thing that I always look forward to hopefully doing is I would love to originate a role that then I get to record the soundtrack for. That's one thing that I've always really wanted to do, is just originate a role and soundtrack. But life-wise, I want to travel Europe studying still the arts, but more out of the country, like different countries' takes on performance.
So a rent performance in the U.S. may be different than a rent performance in Czechoslovakia.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a brother who's 5 years older than me who actually went to CCM, where Matt goes to school for musical theater. And for me, he's in New York City right now. He's working as an actor. And for me, if I were to ever share the stage with him, I did shows with him as a little kid growing up, but to do a regional production or a national tour or a Broadway show, to be on stage with my brother and to kind of have made it with him would probably be the all-time success story for me, because I watched him grow up and struggle through auditioning for schools and going to school, and now I'm watching him work as an actor, and he's fantastic, and just to do that with him would really be the all-time success story for me.
Yeah, I would love to do many things. Ooh, this is tough. I think if I could do, if there was one thing that I did in one day, it would be perform. This sounds so silly, but perform on Broadway for my parents. Broadway is awesome, and it's it becomes this thing when you're a child. You're like, Broadway, and then when you're older, you're like, Broadway. That's a thing that could happen. Totally.
Yes.
And then now it's become my parents who live in California, who have been to New York once in their lives. all they want to do is see a Broadway show that I'm in. So that would make my life wonderful. But if there was like a goal I have, it's to start a theater company for sure. Yeah.
Great. Cool. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.